introduce yourself, your work, your own project, no music and stuff like this, your philosophy behind doing tapes and all this stuff. It's
well, yeah, my name is Carl Howard and all that, and I do audiophile tapes, which you don't spell with a PH, you spell it with an F, because no one should really know how to spell. And anyway, it's supposed to have been a play on words, but it doesn't really matter anymore. So that was from that magazine I used to do, ARTITUDE. That was from 84 to 86. Used to discuss all that experimental music, but I got off that because I lost interest and I lost too much money. And so I've just been putting out the cassettes, and now it's like 9,500 cassettes of experimental, alternative, electronic rock, straight electronic, stuff like that. Basically, I like to put out cassettes where the performance is more solid, the composer has a good set of compositional ideas, or the guy can really play, or he does what he does in an exciting way, and that doesn't necessarily have to be non-rock or non-anything else. It can sound, I have a couple of things on my label that sound like pretty straight rock. I just happen to think that it's gutsy enough so that I can get behind it, so that's why I put it out. Other than that, some other things that I'm known to do is write articles for alternative cassette-based magazines, but I'm trying to go away from that because I get too much of a backlash for every word I say, so I'm trying to cool out on that stuff now. Just concentrate on the music, which I think is strong enough so that I can just support the music of the people that I'm representing, and I'll get a better reputation just from doing that than from spouting off on my own opinion, which turns out to be not necessary anyway. So the easiest way to find out what the material on my label sounds like is I put out catalog samplers once a year that are 100 minutes long. I put them out on high bias cassettes, and this year's, for 1989, there's 18 people on it, and it's going to take a while to get it all done and to get all the artists their little copies and everything, but eventually it'll happen. Everyone will get what they want. Why they're going to get these things, I don't know. Sometimes the post office is not your friend, really. I sent a magazine, 10 cassettes in a box, and they arrived completely smashed. I had to send them all over again. Totally wonderful.
What artists are on your audiophile tape label? And what articles did you feature in Audiophile magazine, which is died, I think, 2 years before?
Right. Well, let's see. There are certain correlations between ARTITUDE magazine and the music that I put out now. A few of the people that I talked about then I've released since, like Quad Digs from Madison, Wisconsin, and I don't recall if I talked about Croiners or not, but there have been some friends who've supported me from that time until now, and Croiners is one, and Al Margolis from Sound of Pig is definitely another, very influential in getting me going in the first place. And a few other folks. In 1989, I've been trying to get out more of the electronic rock thing from the British scene that's happening over there now. There's a lot of space rock bands that are really fantastic, like Sponge, well, they split. Omnia Opera, they split. Paradox, they haven't split yet. There's a whole bunch of other bands that I'd like to get that haven't split yet, and hopefully I'll get to them before they do, like Osric Tentacles and the Ullulators and the Oroonies. And I'm not going to spell them because it's too weird. And let's see. ARTITUDE, the thing that was different about ARTITUDE is that it tried to go into a great depth about the work that a given artist was doing to think about their conception or the implications of their ideas. And sometimes it's got a bit weird and it's straight off the subject of the artist's intent, but something that was inherent in the music inspired me in a particular way to ruminate blah blah blah, and so I would just carry that forward. And as time went on, the magazine became more involved with the politics of the alternative culture, and that's when people begin to quake and shiver in their boots and a little bit, and they began to resent what I was saying a little bit more. You know, that didn't directly influence my decision to end the magazine at that time in 1986, but things have come to a head since several times because of the way that I express my ideas, and that's why I say that I'm more likely to spend the bulk of the time now just promoting the music itself and letting the musicians speak through their music. You know, people like artists like Alien Planetscapes, Jeff Carney, Richard Franecki in the United States, several others that I'm not going to mention right now. Some people who are really fantastic, but just don't receive the exposure that they probably deserve. Some classic examples of electronic space rockers like Mars Everywhere, and Barney Jones, who was in Mars Everywhere and is still in the suburban Washington, D.C. area. These are all people who should be pushed because what they do is just so great, you know, that you can't deny the power of their ability and the power of their music. And
what's about your own music project? No music?
No music, yeah. It proceeds as it does. It becomes more of a rock thing all the time, but it's still a solo project essentially. Every once in a while I'm able to enlist the services of someone else, either to do guitar or drums or bass or whatever it is, but mostly it's solo. I prefer that it not be solo, but logistically that would be difficult because it takes a lot of time and energy to get everyone together to work on a project when everybody else already has their own project who you'd like to work with. So that becomes difficult. And I was in Alien Planetscapes for a year and a half, but I'm not now. That was a very interesting time. And then there's one other project that I've been working on slowly that's going to end up appearing on a British label called Alternate Media in Birmingham, England, because they supported the idea that I should do a project of just floating space music on analog synthesizers, no digital synthesizers used at all. So I had this idea and I was doing it slowly since 1987, but now it'll culminate, and by the beginning of 1990 it'll be available. As will the next No Music project, which is called The Many Teeth of God. And remember that God should only be spelled with a small g. And also remember that God has a large tail and is about 60 to 75 feet tall, and for fun stomps all over Tokyo. And fire comes out of God's mouth, and in so doing he protects all the independent cassette musicians from the heinous wrath of unauthorized duplicators.
You always write on your tapes that all these people who duplicate tapes are the mess for tape producers. They should go to hell. Why this?
Why not?
I think not too many people will do this.
I've seen a couple of imitations of that. There's a couple of people who've ripped it off me that I've seen. Alternate Media is one. There was another one, I don't remember. But they like the idea basically because, like, you know, it's being like facetious and really macho about protecting your little bit of a right of a cassette that barely is held to any copyright convention whatsoever, you know, so why not be over strong, for Christ's sake, you know, I mean, like, it's like, if you scratch a picture of Mickey Mouse in your notebook when you're in the 2nd grade, the lawyers from Disney will come down and sue your fucking head off till you die. That's how they are, you know, and that matters nothing, you know, so... why not be realistic in the law world, you know? Talk about the hideous death that will happen to people who copy in an unauthorized way independently released cassettes, you know?
One thing is that you work out your projects through mail. Most of them, I think.
Well, mail order, I try not to get involved in mail collaboration very much because I prefer the live element to the music, and I think there are only a couple of people out there who can work well on a mail collaboration basis without the whole thing becoming static. I think that you need the live challenge in order for the music to be real. So I don't get involved in that as much as Margolis or Chris Phinney or Dave Prescott or some other people. That's just my personal choice. And I wrote an article about that for Electronic Cottage called The Challenge of the Jam. And that'll get them mad at me too, you know. I mean, they're gonna have me like this eventually, you know, but for now, still living, haven't been crucified yet. Check back with me tomorrow. Maybe stigmata here.
I've realized that you have many troubles. Tell me about your troubles you have with different people.
Everybody has troubles. It's not...
No name. No one is interested in names and in facts.
I wouldn't give them out anyway. I wouldn't talk about any names anyway. You know, it's a personality thing. You know, every one of the little cassette labels is coming from a slightly different point of view, and they represent the alternative music in a different way. And some people are able to keep their personalities out of it and keep the thing objective and are able to support what other people do in an objective way. Other people are more retentive about it, and they get very hypersensitive and you know, maybe a little too critical and a little too possessive, and they start stepping on other people's grounds, and they say what other people do is shit without having anything firmly themselves that they stand for to say that what I do is not shit. They can't say that. So, you know, unless you're able to stand up when a challenge comes down, you know, then all you're doing is just defending your ego. You're not really saying anything. And unfortunately, there are some people on the cassette scene, at least in this country, who are very possessive and take everything very personal. And when the challenge comes down, and more often than not the challenge comes from me, they can't stand it. That's why right now I'm willing to just support what I do, because I don't need to be a thorn in everybody's side. It doesn't do me any good. You know, what I'm saying may or may not be true, but it doesn't do me any good to involve myself in activities that might cost the support of the music that I represent. So I'll just withdraw. I mean, there's no point in going on with it if people are just not ready for what I'm talking about, or have that much problem with what I'm talking about. And as far as what anybody else does with their label, or whatever activities they're involved with, whether they're pushing softcore pornography, I just want to delineate the boundaries of what I think is good and what I think is ethical, and make people aware that if I have a problem with something that somebody else does, they should be able to debate this with me without interpreting what I say as a personal attack. Outside of that, I don't really have any problem with what anybody does. You know, everyone is entitled to whatever money they make, as long as they make it honestly. I don't care about what they do.
Okay, now we go into the final. I have some keywords and you have the chance to answer in very short sentences.
Whatever you say, I'm gonna say fire engine.
Manhattan.
Filth.
Brooklyn.
Old.
Queens, where you are from.
Racist.
Then tapes.
They exist.
They exist. Vinyl.
Vinyl. Something to aspire to. Will never be replaced by the CD. You know. It's still nice to
And
have.
electric guitar,
The electric guitar, always have its place.
and at least rip off
What kind?
any kind. Duplication of your tapes.
Oh well, that's one thing. I mean, you know.
This was only my joke at the end. Okay, I think we can finish it.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Maybe you have something to put at the end.
Nah, just be repetitive.
Okay, great. Thanks. And today I have to put the time in. It's the 26th. And again the chime, again the date, and finished. Okay. First you introduce yourself.
Okay.